Another episode of the Suffer Up podcast with Nate and Ryan, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose, striving to level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Your two hosts today are Nate and Ryan, as always. And today we have a very special guest speaker, Miss Katie Spotz. Katie Spotz is an endurance athlete and has made some significant and profound accomplishments throughout her career in the endurance theater. So we also want to make a mention of our sponsors, Soft Socks. They make a compression fitting toe sock for your feet, and we have absolutely loved them. We do have a discount code for them as well. That is Suffer10. You can go over to our link tree and go on there, and you'll be able to get a link to the Soft Socks as well. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce Miss Katie Spotz. Katie, would you like to give an intro of who you are and what you're all about?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. I am a accidental adventurer. So I started my fitness journey by avoiding it, and I wasn't really a star athlete, tried to avoid doing athletics because of it, and I was forced to kind of do this gym class, and I found out I liked running. And so I started running about 15 years ago, and through running, I found a passion for endurance, from running to cycling, swimming, kayaking, rowing, and over the past several years have channeled those endurance challenges to raise money for clean water. So, yeah, so I've done a bunch of different challenges, all in the name of clean water. And to date, over 50,000 people have access to clean water as a result of those events and adventures. So yeah, it's been a long journey, but I've realized that we are often our greatest limitation, and just because you think you can't do something doesn't mean you're right. And I'm just blown away by the limitless potential of the human body. And so I think there's there's a lot to live for in this, in this life. And endurance is definitely one of those feeling of being home, right? Like I think we all want to feel like we're at home, and endurance really is that for me. It's a very meditative, special space. And it's obviously it's a battleground, but through those ups and downs, you get to understand through experience. It's a metaphor for many things outside of endurance. So
Yeah, and it's a good way to and apply it to your daily life, really.
I understand the ridiculousness of some of the things I do. Like, do you need to run 100 or 200 miles? Do you need to bike across a country? Do you need to row an ocean? No, but it really is what you take from those journeys and how you apply it to other parts of your life. And so, yeah, I know it on some level is very silly to just be doing these things, but I I mean, I've always been the type of person that you can tell me something and it might not stick because it's just life experiences. There is no greater teacher for me personally. I know some people can take it secondhand and take it from others, but I need to feel it and know it on a deep level. And I think when you experience what you do and these challenges, it's undeniable. You feel it in every cell of your body of this, this sense of awe and wonder at the own capabilities of the body that we're all given. So
Yeah, I heard you list off a few examples right there, but those aren't just examples. Those are actually things that you've done, which is pretty wild for the normal person to hear.
yeah, I mean, you know, it wasn't what anyone no one saw it coming. I didn't even. It wasn't part of the plan. Let's just say that. Like
Anyone's plan.
yeah, I didn't even know how to row when I decided to row across the Atlantic Ocean
Oh, wow.
by myself.
All by yourself without a team or anything. This wasn't really in your alley.
Well, I think So I did my first marathon at 18, and then my first ultra marathon was 19. And every time you do one of these challenges, it kind of opens your eyes to say, well, if I never thought I could do that and I was wrong, what else is possible? What else can I do? And so I was after doing my first ultra, I was very open and receptive to the idea of doing more than we might think is possible. And someone on a bus was talking to me and sharing endurance challenges and, sailing around the world, cycling around the world, going to the poles. And I kind of, started to tune out a little bit because I was like, yeah, 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 I'm a know it all. I've heard it all. Right. And so he said his friend rowed across the Atlantic, and my ears perked up and I was like, wait, what? Rowing across an ocean? And so I went home, Googled it, was like, oh wow, this is a real thing. And I I think, we can all be driven for different reasons. You could get into fitness for the drive for community or cause or, all of the above, right? So, but for me, those things matter. What also matters is curiosity. And I just couldn't stop wondering what it would be like. The more I found out, the more I just wanted to know. And I didn't necessarily read a lot of books about other people doing it because I wanted to have an experience that was so pure that I didn't need to compare it to anyone else's. Like last year, I cycled across South America and kayaked across. It was, when you couldn't bike, you picked up the paddles. So I did kayak across the Amazon River, and I just love some of these adventures. There's no preconceived notion of what you're about to experience. It's adventure at its finest. And so sometimes I like knowing it's possible, and then that's all I need to know. And obviously I'm going to find out what gear, what boat, what the logistics, but some of these challenges just put you in a kid-like curiosity and a true I think there's definitely value in the fact that we could live vicariously through others. We can go on social media, we can read a book, we can really get a inside view of lots of different lives. But I think adventure it gives you that purest sense of experience something deeply without comparison. I did do it. There was no Ocean Rowing for Dummies books out there. So I was yeah, I if anything, I didn't try to talk myself, you know, to do it. I was trying to talk myself not to do it, and I couldn't do it. Like I whenever I decide to do something, usually the first step is trying to talk myself not to do it. Like, oh, well, think about this or that, and it could be dangerous. It's going to be expensive. You're going to give up your time with family and friends. It's going to take a toll on you physically. Like, I do that. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I look at sometimes in life, there's no easy way out, right? Like,
Yep.
you're choosing between hard or, more hard. And so for me, I think the most difficult thing we can experience is regret. And I would much rather do these hard things than live a life of regret. And anything you can do becomes habit, right? And it can become habit. And at a certain point, if you ignore your calling or you ignore your passion, it won't call on you anymore. And so I didn't want to get to a place where I was so numb and so disconnected by what I want to do that I just accept that life, accept a life that I just don't do what I want to do. And then,
Yeah.
Where does that take you in 50 years? That sounds miserable. So I think the hardest thing is, looking back at your life just with all these questions of what if I actually did the thing? What if I actually, and I mean, I'm not blind to like the risk with ocean rowing. There are people who have lost their lives out there.
Yeah.
And I definitely through through the row specifically. Like, I don't do an ultra marathon thinking about death, but for ocean rowing, I do. And I think I have come to a place where I wouldn't say I'm at peace, but I think that I would rather, you know, have it lived before I die than be yeah, I understand that that is the risk, but I will know I have lived beforehand. So I
Yeah.
think the best way to live, like, truly doing what you feel called to do here on this earth. So
Yeah. So it sounds like by that point, when you thought about rowing across the ocean, you were definitely on a mission to raise money for a good cause. And you had already built that habit of doing the hard things. But what really drove you to do something like an ultra marathon at age 19 or even a marathon at younger? Most 18-year-olds are not doing that.
well, so I had to take a gym class to get my high school diploma, and I looked for the easiest class I could possibly find, and that happened to be walk, jog, run. Keyword walk. So I'm just gonna show up, get my easy A, move on with life. And I actually didn't want to do this gym class so much that I tried to get a waiver and tried to see if I could get a doctor's note saying I didn't really need this class.
Doctor's note.
I, I pretty much tried everything and it didn't work. So I would walk and do this lap, indoor track, and it was just boredom. Like, I was just so bored of walking that I thought, maybe I'll try to set this goal of running 1 mile. And I had no pressure for letting down my coach, no pressure for letting down teammates. So I had nothing to lose. And it wasn't a Nike moment, but it was a gap between this, telling myself, "Oh, I could never do that," and then I was actually wrong. So it was just a crack of the window or of the door of realizing that there's the story we tell ourselves, and then there's reality. And I believed the story so strongly that it became my reality. And so I think the 1 mile, I know people usually, when they say I ran 1 mile, they always, I'm guilty myself too of saying just 1 mile, but just 1 mile was all it took for me to realize that the narrative was not right. And so it created that little gap for me to say, well, if I never thought I could do one, what why and I was wrong, then maybe I could do 2, and then 2 turned into 3, and it really, I just finished a 200-mile run, and sometimes you think like, "Oh, well, 200 is obviously harder than 1 mile," but to be honest, I think that first mile was probably one of my hardest mentally because I built up so much
Yeah.
that yeah, and now it's just easier because there's no more of that mental chatter, and that's can be a drain and a waste of energy. So I don't really feel like I'm wasting energy on wondering what if, and just channeling it all into what, you know, not what if, but what if I can't, kind of thing. And the truth is that I know endurance is very humbling. Like, you can have the best ultra runner in the world, like, eh, like, have GI issues, get sprint. Like, no one is exempt from all of the problems that happen in endurance, from overheating to digestive stuff to spraining, joints, breaking bones, stress fractures, you name it. And so I know that no matter how much endurance I do, there's no guarantees. That kind of is part of the allure, that that there's so much out that it is, you just kind of, there's a lot of planning and training, but there's very much an element of luck and, just all the elements and all the everything lining up just right.
Yeah.
All the stars aligning.
So you just hit on something that I want to try to kind of open up a little bit. Ryan was in the military, I'm in the fire service, and something that is hit on in both of those capacities is the concept of crawl, walk, run. So you don't sign up for a 100-miler right off the bat. You start with a 5K, and when you're training for your 5K, you do 1 mile, and then 1 mile turns into 2, just like you said. At that point, you're going from crawling to walking, and then you run your first 5K. Well, then your 5K turns into a 10K, into a 20K, 50K, and then eventually you go until you're just either content with the distance or you keep going like what you're doing, and you're just constantly striving for that next goal, that next accomplishment, the next achievement. And that's a concept I think that a lot of people can look at other people and think like, man, they're way up here and I'm way down here, and they're constantly comparing themselves. But everybody's journey starts with that first mile, just like you said. So what would you say to somebody that is just starting out and they're trying to accomplish their first 5K? What advice would you give them?
Okay, well, I have a lot of thoughts about this. Like, the most extreme I would say is just that when some people are like, I can't do this thing. The most extreme thing I could possibly say is like, well, if your life depended on it, you probably could. Like, so like, if your life depended on it, you could probably do a lot. So the truth is you can. And then there's also choice. Like, I know, yeah, I hope this comes out the way I intended in my head, but it's just that sometimes we put people on pedestals because it if we really could do these things, then we would have to be responsible and accountable for those actions. It's easier to put people on pedestals than it is to do the hard work. So putting people on pedestals might be an effort to avoid taking responsibility for doing the best with what you can and what you have. And we don't need to, like, everyone can get on board with crawl, walk, run, because we are all, like, as babies, that's where we all started. So everyone literally did. I've never heard of anyone running out of the womb. So like and the last, well, one of the other things that I really like to share with people is like, yes, I do sometimes do motivational speaking, and I just like to share that you don't actually need motivation. Motivation will show up when you do. So I've run 100 miles. I've never felt like running 100. I maybe felt like running one, and then one made me feel, it's like the ball that's rolling, or objects at rest stay at rest, objects in motion stay in motion. Like, it's not, you don't need to feel in order to act. And in fact, you need to act in order to feel. And so knowing that you don't even need to feel motivated means you don't need to wait for like this feeling. You can act and understand that the feeling will come, and have trust the process that it will come. And I do think that the hardest part is that, going from rest to movement, just that transition. And so I think we can put so much pressure on ourselves that we need to feel like a Nike commercial right when we get out of bed. And no, I mean, you can feel however you want. You just have to show up.
At the end of the day, it's just excuses.
Yeah, I think once you put less pressure on yourself, you realize how you just build up things to be more difficult than they really are, or they really can be.
Takes the fun out of it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that fun aspect, like you were talking about earlier with kids and how they're just curious. It's that curiosity that drives them to see how much fun something could be, not necessarily a challenge. They're just looking for the fun.
Yeah, I sometimes my friends and I will like tease each other if we ever catch ourselves. I mean, words are powerful. Like, and so if we ever say, or the word have to, oh, I have to do this for my jobs kinds of things, we always, you know, get
Yeah.
to, right? I get to do this, but sometimes get to it doesn't feel right, but it's, I get to take out my trash, right? But we tease each other about the word choice of get to, because truthfully, I mean, again, I can have a little bit of, I can see how extreme this is to say, but if you tell someone I have to run a mile or minimize 1 mile, and you say that to someone who literally can't walk and would give anything, everything to walk, to crawl, to move 1 mile and can't, like, how dare you, right? Like, the ability to walk is a blessing. Ability to move is a gift. And so when you're just taking that gift and being like, "Oh, it's nothing." Well, that could be health is we don't not everyone has it, and we don't always have it either, you know? We have seasons where our health isn't the best, and so I think just being grateful for the body that we have that works for us all day, every day. I mean, give yourself a break.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you said that because we just recently, probably about 2, 3 months ago, had a guy on the podcast named Scott Dykes. You can go back and listen to that episode as well. But he tells his story on how he had a horrific motorcycle accident, and when he was in the hospital, the doctors told him that he would never walk again, let alone run. And he had the attitude of, well, I'll show you. And it was a really amazing story, and being able to hear his perspective on trauma and how he overcame it. And he essentially ended up running and finishing the Skunk Ape 50 miler. And all that started with was just one toe wiggle. He actually referenced that a couple times where I could barely move my toe. And once I could move my toe, then that was considered a win. So once he accomplished that win, he's like, well, now it's going to be walking to the refrigerator. And just to rewind a little bit, he even came home after being in the hospital, and his fiance or girlfriend had left him. Yeah. And he came home to a house with no lights on, no power, nothing. And he overcame tons of adversity and then was successful. So I just want to open the question, and if you're not comfortable sharing, I totally understand. But most endurance athletes usually have some sort of trauma or something that's happened to them. Do you have a traumatic background or a story that kind of drew you into endurance sports? And if so, is it a coping mechanism? Because I know it's very much that for a lot of people.
I mean, I think that one of the things that endurance gave me when I started it was, I mean, I very much know that winters aren't the best. I'm in Cleveland. They're gray. And so I know that it has helped me through feeling low. And I mean, running is one of those things where you feel better after all the time. I mean, I always feel a mood boost, and people can say what I do is crazy, but I just am like, that's me when I don't do these things, because
right.
You do feel like if I don't exercise, I don't feel my best self. The runner's got to run, the singer's got to sing. Like, you just have to have that outlet. And if you don't, you don't feel your best. So yeah, I think of that, but I what really gets me going is the cause. And I mean, we can't all agree to everything, but I've never met anyone yet who's like, no, I don't think people should have clean water. And I am very much, and justice focused. Like, don't we all believe life should be fair? Yeah, let's work towards that. I mean, I know yeah. Anyways, clean water is not just, it is warm and fuzzy and feel good. It is kids, it's health, it's environment, it's women, it's everything. But it's also justice. Like, it to me, knowing that this can help someone else, it really, I mean, that's rocket fuel. And I just I don't know what is, like, yeah, it's one of the biggest injustices on our planet that we have the resources, we have the tools, we don't need the research, we just need people who care. And there are people right now who have kids that they aren't giving names to until they're 5 because they might die because of unclean water. And the idea of, you know, m families having to choose, make that choice, and then of drinking water that might kill them or not drinking at all, right? Like, it's truly with when you think about how far we've come, with buildings and technology, and then to know that 1 in 8 people don't even have clean water, that's
Wow.
it's I mean, it's a massive problem with cost-effective solutions. So,
That to me is the worst part, that there is a solution out there and it's not even crazy expensive. It's just a matter of getting it to people.
I mean, I will also acknowledge that, like all things, nothing lasts for life. So you can build these projects, they still need maintenance, they still need so there and say they have rainwater harvesting, there still are droughts. It's not as if these projects require ongoing maintenance and care. I understand there are places where there's wars and unrest where you just can't even provide it. And so, but that's not all of the situations. There still are situations where it's just a matter of funding. And so, I mean, right now I'm working towards funding some projects that use Sawyer filters. And when I was cycling and kayaking across South America, there are these, $20, $30 filters last 10 years. And I was never sick the entire journey. And I was using this filter for my water. So, you
Wow.
know,
Which filter was that?
called Sawyer.
So just a little blue one you can get at Walmart?
Yep. So they have the ones that you can go for like hiking and camping, but then they also have products that you can use at home with using a bucket. And so some of the projects I'm currently fundraising for is in Tanzania. So it's called the Bucket Ministry, and they're a partner with Sawyer. But yeah, extremely cost effective. It doesn't solve the some of the other, issues. Like a lot of water projects incorporate sanitation, hygiene,
Yeah.
and so that's one component of an overall project. But I mean, these things last, yeah, a decade and could help a family of 5. So
Wow.
it's
That's quite the plug for Sawyer because I have one, and whenever I go hunting and stuff, I'll use it when I run out of water when I pack in somewhere. So I guess I'll just have to use that little filter a little bit more often if you're vouching for it as being as good as it is, because some of the water I've filtered has been quite questionable. So that's good to hear.
well, someone just sent me a video of them like going to some dirty river and with the charity, and he's like, "Your turn," and I'm like, "Well, I got Lake Erie, so I can't." It's on the list to do something like that, but it works, and they do
Oh,
have
great.
research to back that, and they've been able to help 2 countries reach the point where Liberia has border to border access to clean water through these filters, and the Marshall Islands. So there's the glimmer of hope that there actually are countries now. So when I started fundraising, it was 1 in 6 or over 1 billion, and right now it's 1 in 8. So there is, it's moving, it's happening. I did see recently Mr. Beast did something too with clean water, and I think they raised 40 million. So it's so great to see how more and more people are joining forces for the clean water mission. So it's changing, getting better.
Yeah, it'd be great if in 10 years you could no longer do these same adventures for the same cause.
True. I think there will always be some need for ongoing maintenance, but I think, yeah, that would be incredible. Rotary is also very involved with helping with clean water. And I know there's a lot of like Charity Water is another one that's doing a lot of good work, water.org. So there's definitely some really big steps towards solving the global water crisis.
That's awesome. And you said that you went across South America too, was it?
Yes.
Are you trying to go all the way around the world? I think I heard you say something about that on another podcast.
Yeah. So the Atlantic row was step one, from Africa to South America. Step two was across South America. And now I reached Lima, Peru. The land, there's no more land. So, yes, the plan is to get back on the ocean. Yeah, hopefully next year.
So now it's time for the Pacific, huh?
Yeah.
That is the Pacific.
So how much bigger is that than the Atlantic?
So this would be 10,000 miles, so 3 times longer than the Atlantic. You could do it in stages, and I think while it may sound good to do in stages, there's so many factors like, I want very specific fuel that I really couldn't get just anywhere. It's dangerous to land because yeah. So I think it would be 8 to 10 month journey,
Wow.
10,000 miles. And yeah, that would put me to Papua New Guinea, which is a little, north of Australia.
So would you just try to island hop your way there?
No, just all in one go because it isn't always safe to land, right? Like the conditions aren't close to land aren't always the same out in the middle of nowhere, right? And yeah, with the currents, they act differently near land. You really have to know the tides and so and customs, like you have to go legally, and so it just you add so many logistics to just landing. And the truth is, most of these islands, will they have the staples? Yes, but will they have the specific protein powders and electrolytes that I use all the time and that my body has adapted and like tailwind's a big one. I don't know if tailwinds in these, so it really the safest thing is probably to do it all in one go. Unless I have an injury and I need to, right? Like, of course, but if I'm feeling okay, I will also say that, like, I just did a 200-mile run, and I felt the strongest at mile 150 and the last 50 miles. I think, well, I mean, you can't really compare all endurance challenges, but I do think that I generally do feel stronger as I go on. I was also former military, but like boot camp and those things, I was weaker after because of the lack of sleep. So I might not necessarily feel like that fiery strength of like speed stuff, but I think the baseline, like telling you to do it 10 hours is like, okay, like your body just knows. Yeah. Like even doing a 200 when I have to take naps or sleep, I'm like, I wake up like thinking I'm still running, right? Like I dream about running. And so it, your mind, once you adapt, it takes a while to adapt. So once you're adapted, you kind of just want to stay in that space because it takes time to get there. But once you're there, it's easier to keep going.
So I just want to open that up a little bit. Ryan and I both are working towards that 100-mile goal, and we're real close, but we're still working at it. And one of the biggest hurdles that we hear about is nutrition. So, like, what nutrition plan advice do you give for those that are trying to prepare for these endurance type events? Because it kind of sounds like it almost becomes more of an eating contest than it does a nutritional guideline.
Oh yeah. Well, so for the 200, it was like burning through 25,000 calories. And I will say that I do have friends that are faster than me. And if you know, do an ultra, I can, you know, my friends that like I know they're wicked fast, but when we do kind of ultra events, it's like if they can't eat, it's just like after 12 hours, it's like you can't, or even shorter, like after a few hours, even 3 hours, you can really, bonk and everything. So I've really simplified it to more of a liquid based. So for maybe like marathons and 100 milers, I can do a bottle of Tailwind every hour and then mix it up with bananas and watermelon. And sometimes, yeah, that really can do it, adding some salt to the watermelon. So I, I I think for the 200, I incorporated more solids because I could do it 100% liquid, but the problem I had with doing that is I went from liquid, 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 and my stomach would shrink. So then when I would eat food after, it would just like
Yeah.
be in a coma, like a food coma, right? So I do like giving my stomach something to chew on, right? But I I I think everyone is different. I will say that during this 200, I did have some vision issues. Like I started losing it like a little, and then I had coconut water, and it was like zoop, back to
Probably an electrolyte like potassium or magnesium, as those are super important to get into your diet.
right. So I think I was getting those things, but obviously not enough of those things. But I mean, doing these things is hard, but you can make it easier on yourself by fueling. And sometimes when you don't feel well, it's like, okay, well, did I get this in or this, that in? And so the goal is always, you do feel bad at points, but the goal is always to feel as good as you can for as long as you can. And a lot of that is fueling. So I think hydration is a big part. And then for my 200, I was incorporating more like fruit leathers, applesauce packets.
Yeah, I love stealing my kids squeezy applesauces on long runs.
Oh, yeah. So if you do the gels, like the goos, and there's not enough liquid, but the applesauce is great because you don't need it. It's extra weight, but you're going to need water to get a goo down anyways because of how thick the consistency is. So you might as well just do applesauce at that point. So I incorporate some like treats like Coke, like a Pepsi here and there. And the thing is, when I was doing that, I would be like, okay, I'm ready for this snack. And then by the time I'd get there, I'm like, no, I crave this now. So you think you know what you want, and then your body's like, nope, need this now. So I think having everything is great. Like everything that they would have at a traditional race. So you never know when you're going to crave it. So you should probably bring it. But yeah, I do have a pretty simple, like I'm not even doing many bars. And I know there's a lot of bars. I don't really do many of the or goos because it's like at a certain point, my throat was so sore from eating and drinking so much that nothing, you can be like, I love Twinkies, but after 2 days of Twinkies, you're like, I don't want to eat any of this food. Junk food is no longer fun anymore. It's like whatever goes down and stays down will work.
Yeah, too much of a good thing is still too much.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Katie, just some closing questions here to kind of wrap up this episode. It's been great talking to you, but what would be one of your most memorable 100-miler or 200-miler races? And for us beginner endurance athletes here, what would be a 100-mile race that you would recommend as a great first-time intro-level 100-mile race?
Well, they do say that if you are getting into ultras, you should probably start with a 50K. I don't know if it really matters where. I think it more matters who. Like, I know people doing marathons this upcoming weekend, and I'm like, oh, are any of your friends going? And I just think that this journey is way more fun when you have your community, when you have your friends, when you don't have to do it alone, because you're already alone in your head while you're doing it. But when you're with other people, it just brings more fun to it. So, I, I mean, yeah, like in a month, I'm doing Mount Kilimanjaro with 4 of my friends. And so it, I think finding someone to train with, to go through, to learn together, a lot of times it's just like, oh, what have you tried? How are you feeling? Or what PT are you doing? Like, it's just so great to have the who rather than the what sometimes. So, I mean, yeah, and ideally it would be somewhere close where you can do parts of the course beforehand because probably don't want to get lost and add bonus mile. But one of my most memorable 100 was New Year's is like I understand the drinking culture and like party culture, but New Year's has always been kind of a pause to like look back and look forward and really be like, oh, time is passing. Am I using it? Am I spending it right? And so there was a 100 miler where you ran into the new year. So you start on New Year's Eve, you finish on New Year's Day, and just the idea of running into a new year. And then for this race, they had, you could do 6 hours, 12 hours, and they do have this race out in Arizona called Across the Years. It's 6 or 7 days long. So you could pick, do you want to do 1 day? Do you want to do 3 days? Do you want to do all 7 days? And it's like a party where there's hundreds of people. And so that's been kind of like one of my bucket list races, but I wanted to do a 200 there, but there was a local one. So it just logistically was easier. But I think that'd be cool to find races that are like, yeah.
What was that race you said you did into the new year?
This one it's in Tennessee.
Yeah, sorry, Katie. I'm putting you on the spot here. I mean, it goes to show when you run as many races as you have, it's easy to forget the names of these races. But you're saying it's in Tennessee. I know that there's also other ones like the Run Undead group. They do one also into the new year. So that's pretty cool. I love that concept.
Yeah, it's in Tennessee. It's in the mountains, and it's like a 10-mile loop.
Well, Katie, before we let you go, you just mentioned that you were going to be doing Mount Kilimanjaro soon with 4 friends.
Yes. So we leave on New Thanksgiving, and we'll be doing a 6-day trek. So,
and you guys are doing this climb for the same mission of getting clean water for other people?
Yes. So if anyone would like to support the cause, I have a link on my website, katiespotz.com, or there's a link in my social media. So my Instagram is just Katie Spotz, KATIESPOTZ, or Facebook is Hello Katie Spotz.
Well, Katie, we wish you the best of luck. I have no doubt that you are going to crush this mountain climb based on everything else that you've done. This should be a walk in the park.
So when is your 100?
We don't know yet. We are novices, and we've got a few races on the calendar. We've got a 74 miler. I have a 60K coming up, but we're just kind of weighing options and looking at races right now as we prepare for it. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely on the radar.
Yeah, we're eyeballing a couple.
What are some of your possible 100-mile races?
Well, one of them is the Forgotten Florida, as we're here in Florida. There's only a couple spots left on that one, but that one, and then there's the Skunk Ape one we're also looking at. So there's a few we're just kind of eyeballing. Where did you say you're located again, Katie?
I'm in Ohio, but I actually considered doing a 200 in Florida, but but I don't think they do it anymore. It's like called.
Yeah, it's the Across 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that one, I can't speak 100% because I'm not the race director, but I had heard word or rumors that they were getting rid of the virtual option, as that's what it currently is, and that they're actually going to make it like a big stage race, like the Moab race and all the other big races. I think they're really trying to ramp it up and actually make it Florida's 200-mile race. So that would be really cool if they ended up doing that. But again, these are just rumors that I've heard.
That one looked like it would be very cool.
Well, just go ahead and plan on wet feet. I don't know if you've ran much in Florida here, but we have a lot of swamps and gators.
Yeah. Does your sock sponsor have a waterproof?
No, unfortunately they don't. But if you're not familiar with the sock, I don't know if you're familiar with the TED stockings like you wear, hospital patients wear, where it's real tight and compression fitting. Well, that's how this sock is. And it's more of like a foot to shoe relationship versus a foot sock shoe. Like other companies, I'll just go ahead and mention them. Like in Gingy, they're a cotton sock, and they have a tendency to kind of soak up the moisture. And when that happens, then you really feel the sock on your foot. Whereas with the soft socks, it's kind of more one cohesive unit, and it kind of keeps the moisture away from your foot and kind of more in the shoe. So you don't feel the moisture quite as much when you're wearing the soft socks. So they're definitely great in the moisture.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they're great. We love them. We do have a discount code for them as well, Suffer10. So you can go to our link tree, get you a pair if you haven't tried them yet. They're
shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. So, but yeah, as far as the 100 milers, we're just kind of shopping, looking around right now, trying to figure out what's going to work best with logistics, with family. Both of us are married with kids. And so obviously that comes with a lot of responsibility and organization. So
a lot of planning.
Yes, I am kind of intrigued by the backyard ultras. If you haven't heard of them, the 4-mile loop over and over and over again until there's only one person standing. And I'm not a fast runner by any means, and those are very appealing and intriguing to me. So we'll see. We're just kind of looking at options and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big fan of mountain races now. I just got back from a mountain race up in North Carolina, and it was awesome just to like go through that struggle climbing to the top of the mountain, but then have it all be worth it as soon as you get there. It really makes the destination worth the journey.
Oh yeah, definitely. That we both have big aspirations to travel and do these big races, but we'll see what happens. So one step at a time.
Western states, here we come.
Yeah, Western states. Let's go.
It is so cool that like you can find so many different styles of races. Like my friend is doing 100 this weekend, and it's of 4-mile or four loops, or you can go from point to point destination. You could, I mean, the backyard ultras, there's just so many different formats now that you can't find. I mean, even if you do 100-mile, you can do it in a different way and it has a completely different feel.
Yeah, on that note of races, we actually just launched our registration on Ultra Sign Up for the race that we're hosting here at Suffer Up.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, called the Punch Out Ultra. So basically, Ron and I, when we were discussing trying to get a race together, we're like, oh, we should do something totally different. So we decided to do a team-based race with teams of 4. Yep. And it's an out and back race of 4 miles out and back. And you run
4 miles total.
Yeah, 4 miles total.
2 miles
Yeah, sorry. Yep. And then you'll run that for 8 hours consecutively. And in addition to that, we wanted to kind of make it more beginner friendly for those who are just kind of getting into ultra running and kind of incorporate the team aspect. You can find out more information on Ultra Sign Up and also in our link tree. There'll be a description there as well for it.
Yeah, the run is called the Punch Out Ultra.
Punch Out Ultra, yeah. And we've already had a few people register for it as it went live not too long ago. And so, yeah. And also, we're going to be giving out, for those who finish a 50K, we'll be giving out Suffer Up challenge coins as a ultra finisher. So kind of cool platform and atmosphere for people to come out, run as many laps as they want or as little laps as they want, but you're letting your team down in the end and just kind of push yourself in a safe platform. And so we're really excited about it.
Team members. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get those people that may not be full-time runners out there and get them trying.
That's it.
Okay. Well, I'm pacing a friend this weekend, and whenever we do adventures, sometimes what's the next adventure? So maybe I'll see how she's feeling. If she's pretty pumped up, I'll be like, well, there's another one.
Yeah, here's the next one. It's only 4 miles, only 8 hours, or as many times as you want to do it. Just come on out and give it everything you got, or just run the 4 miles and that'd be it.
That's awesome.
Again, Katie, thank you so much for joining us here on the Suffer Up podcast. And we will make sure that all of your information that we've discussed in this podcast, we will put in the description as well. We will also be putting our link tree in there, and you can get a hold of us and also see the registration link for the Punch Out Ultra happening February 21st, 2026. So get your teams together and let's do an awesome 8-hour race. So we'll make sure that all that information is outlined. We love what you're doing, Katie, with the Clean Water Organization and Foundation and all that stuff. And we love the fact that you're bringing other people along with you on this journey. So,
yeah, thank you again, Katie, for coming on our podcast and letting us be a part of this mission with you. And good luck to you on your hike up Mount Kilimanjaro.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again, guys, for tuning into another episode of the Suffer Up podcast with Nate and Ryan, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose, striving to level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. This has been Nate and Ryan with our guest, Katie Spotz. Tune in every Monday for a new episode, as they'll be dropping in the morning on Mondays. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We love y'all. And as always,
Suffer up.